The storm didn't announce itself with drama. There were no sirens, no sudden panic, no immediate sense that Buffalo, New York was about to be pushed to its breaking point. It began quietly, deceptively normal for a city that believes it understands winter better than almost anywhere else in America. Light snow drifted down over Lake Erie. Streets were wet, not frozen. Traffic moved, life continued. But beneath that calm surface, something massive was forming, something far more dangerous than an ordinary snowstorm. This was not just snow, this was a machine. As Arctic air surged south and collided with moisture rising off the still unfrozen waters of Lake Erie, the atmosphere locked into a deadly configuration. Meteorologists had warned of lake-effect snow, but what unfolded exceeded even the most severe projections. Bands of snow began organizing themselves with terrifying precision, narrow but relentless, dumping snow at rates so intense they erased visibility in minutes. Entire neighborhoods vanished behind white walls. One block could be buried under several feet of snow, while another, just miles away, saw far less. Buffalo sat directly in the crosshairs. Within hours, the city began to disappear. Snowfall rates surged past 3, then 4 inches per hour. Wind gusts howled through the streets, pushing snow horizontally, filling every gap, every doorway, every parked car. Roads that were clear minutes earlier became impassable. Plows were deployed, but they were overwhelmed almost immediately. As soon as one pass was cleared, it vanished again, swallowed by fresh accumulation driven by gale force winds. Visibility collapsed to zero. Drivers found themselves trapped without warning. One moment they were moving, the next they were blind. Cars stalled, tires spun uselessly. Vehicles slid into ditches, medians, and each other. Major highways, including the New York State Thruway, became graveyards of abandoned cars and jackknifed semis. Traffic didn't just slow down. It stopped. Completely, Buffalo froze in place. Emergency services were stretched beyond anything they had experienced in decades. Police, firefighters, and EMTs struggled to respond as call after call flooded in. Stranded motorists, medical emergencies, homes without power. People trapped inside vehicles as snow piled up around them, sealing doors shut. Ambulances couldn't reach patients. Fire trucks couldn't navigate streets buried under towering drifts. And the storm was just getting started. As night fell, temperatures plunged. Wind chills dropped to life-threatening levels. What had begun as a transportation crisis rapidly turned into a human survival emergency. People stuck in their cars faced a brutal choice: stay inside and risk carbon monoxide poisoning if snow blocked exhaust pipes, or step outside into whiteout conditions where disorientation could be fatal. Some never made it home. In residential neighborhoods, snowdrifts rose higher than cars, higher than NCES, even higher than front doors. Homes were sealed in, their occupants trapped inside by walls of snow hardened by wind and cold. Power outages spread as heavy snow and ice snapped lines and toppled poles. Entire blocks went dark. Heat systems failed, and families huddled under blankets as temperatures inside their homes dropped dangerously low. Hospitals braced for impact, emergency rooms filled with cases of hypothermia, frostbite, and injuries from falls on ice hidden beneath snow. Doctors and nurses, many unable to leave due to travel bans, slept inside hospitals to keep critical care running. Supplies were stretched thin. Staff worked double and triple shifts, knowing that outside the walls the city was unraveling. Buffalo's airport shut down completely. Flights were canceled en masse, stranding thousands of passengers. Travelers slept on terminal floors, uncertain when conditions would allow planes to land or take off again. Rail service was suspended. Bus routes were canceled. The city's transportation network collapsed under the weight of the storm. Authorities issued a full travel ban, warning residents that venturing outside could be deadly. But for many, it was already too late. People were trapped where they were when the storm peaked. Delivery drivers, shift workers, travelers caught between destinations. Some sought shelter in businesses that never reopened their doors that night. As the hours dragged on, the true scale of the disaster emerged. Search and rescue teams were deployed, but even they struggled to move. Snowmobiles replaced trucks. Front-end loaders were used to dig through drifts that reached 6, 7, even 8 feet high in places. Rescuers navigated by memory alone, landmarks erased by snow. In whiteout conditions, even familiar streets became unrecognizable. Bodies were found in vehicles, in snowbanks, inside homes without heat. Each discovery was a stark reminder that this storm was not just disruptive. It was deadly. Lake-effect snow is uniquely cruel. It does not move quickly like a typical winter storm. It parks itself over a region and unloads everything it has. And Lake Erie fed it relentlessly. As long as cold air flowed over the warm lake, the snow machine kept running, hour after hour, day after day. By the time the storm finally began to weaken, Buffalo was buried. Snow totals reached historic levels. In some areas, more than 6 feet fell in a matter of days. Rooftops sagged under the weight. Businesses were crushed. Cars disappeared entirely beneath hardened drifts. The city looked less like a modern American metropolis and more like a polar outpost. But the danger didn't end when the snow stopped falling. Digging out was a monumental task. Plows returned, but clearing streets clogged with abandoned vehicles was slow and dangerous. National Guard units were deployed to assist with rescues, deliveries of food and medicine, and welfare checks on isolated residents. Shelters opened for those who had lost heat or homes. The sound of snowblowers echoed endlessly as residents fought to reclaim their driveways and sidewalks. The emotional toll was immense. Families searched for loved ones. Communities mourned lives lost. Stories emerged of neighbors helping neighbors, of strangers sheltering together, of rescuers pushing themselves past exhaustion to save one more person. In the midst of chaos, humanity showed through. But the trauma lingered. This storm was not just another Buffalo winter, it was a warning. Scientists have long warned that climate change does not eliminate winter storms, it intensifies them. Warmer lakes mean more moisture. More moisture means heavier snow. When Arctic air arrives, the results can be catastrophic. Buffalo sits at the intersection of these forces, and this storm exposed how vulnerable even a winter-hardened city can be. Infrastructure buckled. Emergency systems were overwhelmed. Lives were lost not because people were careless, but because the storm exceeded the limits of preparation. As cleanup continued, questions mounted. Could this happen again? The answer from climate experts was unsettlingly clear: yes, and it could be worse. Lake Erie is freezing later in the season. That extends the window for extreme lake effect events. Weather patterns are becoming more volatile. Storms are moving slower, dumping more snow over smaller areas. What Buffalo experienced may no longer be a once-in-a-generation event. It may be the new reality. The chaos that swept through Buffalo was not just a local disaster. It was a snapshot of a future where extreme weather pushes cities to the edge, where preparation struggles to keep pace with a rapidly changing climate. Buffalo survived, but it was scarred, and the snow that buried the city left behind more than drifts and damage. It left behind a message written in ice and silence. Winter is changing, and when it strikes, it shows no mercy.